Hi book lovers, welcome back to my channel. So last year I made a video where I made my 5-star predictions for 2022, and today I'm going to be talking about whether those 5-star predictions were right. I finally finished up all the books that I could in that video, so we'll see whether I actually gave them 5 stars or not. I'll start off with Falls Boys by Penelope Douglas. This one I actually did give 5 stars to. It's one of my favorite reads this year. I loved this spin-off of the Fall Away series. It's the first book in the spin-off series and it was off to a fantastic start. This was sadly Penelope Douglas's only release of 2022 though. I was also hoping that Motel would come out this year, but that didn't happen. But I was right when I said I would be giving this one 5 stars because I loved it. And then I have Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. I predicted I would give this one 5 stars because of how much I absolutely loved The Love Hypothesis, but I didn't actually give this one 5 stars. I gave it 4 stars, so it wasn't a bad read, but I just didn't love it as much as her debut. And yes, it does have very similar vibes to The Love Hypothesis, but I personally love that because I always love a pining hero, and I love the whole STEM academia aspect to Ali's books. So this one was close, but not quite the 5-star read that I expected. I also predicted her 3 novellas would be 5 stars. They were close again, but I didn't give any of them 5 stars. Under One Roof is the first in the STEMinist novellas, and this one I gave 4 stars to. It was a very adorable roommates to lovers romance. Stuck With You was my favorite of the 3 novellas. I gave it 4.5 stars. This is the one where the main characters, they get stuck in an elevator together. And then the last novella is Below Zero. This is the last one in the friend group to get her romance, and I gave this one 4 stars. And this one is where the heroine gets stuck at this Arctic research station and the only person who can save her is her rival. So all of these novellas were absolutely adorable. They were a lot of fun to read, but my complaint is just that they were too short. I wanted all of them to be basically full-length books, but sadly overall I didn't give any of them 5 stars. The Love Hypothesis is still way up there for me. Emily Henry's new book, Booklovers, came out, and I really thought I was gonna give this one 5 stars because I gave 5 stars to Beach Read. I also gave 5 stars to People We Meet on Vacation, but Booklovers was a 4-star read for me. Her writing is fantastic like always. I love her sense of humor. I love her endearing characters, but in this case I had a hard time actually connecting with the story and the romance, at least in the beginning. I didn't immediately fall in love with it like her other 2 books, but it's still a good time. Anytime I pick up Emily Henry, I know I'm in for a good time. And then I have Ruby Fever by Alona Andrews. This is the much awaited final book in the Hidden Legacy series, or at least the final book for Catalina and Alessandro. I'm hoping it won't actually be the final book in this whole world, because we do have one sister left who deserves a romance. But Ruby Fever I absolutely gave 5 stars to. I loved it. It was such a wonderful finale for Catalina and for Alessandro. It's less romancy just because these two are already together. They got together by the end of the 2nd book, so it's just them dealing with everything outside of their relationship. But it was so great to be back in the Hidden Legacy world. I love Catalina's family, and we waited like 2 years for this book, so the hype for it was real. But I really did love it. I always love Alona Andrews. I have no idea what they're writing next, but I'm hoping we get more from this world. And then because Julie Garwood finally came back in 2022, I did predict that I would love her new release, Grace Under Fire, and ooh, okay, I did not. This one was quite the disappointing 3-star read for me. I have no idea what happened to Julie Garwood or her ghostwriter because it did not feel like a Julie Garwood book. There was none of that charm. The writing felt really dated. The characters felt dated. It was not the best read. And also I expected more of the Scotland part that's talked about in the blurb to happen more in the book, and that was only thrown in towards the end. There's a random rock star aspect to this book that I didn't expect. Okay, maybe not rock star, but musician stuff. There were just too many random things thrown into it that I didn't really feel, so this one sadly was not a 5-star read. I also predicted that I would love Running Wild by K.A. Tucker just because I love the Simple Wild, the whole Simple Wild series so much, and I was really looking forward to reading more of this world and getting to know Marie more and getting her romance. This one I actually ended up giving 4 stars to. It definitely wasn't as good as The Simple Wild. It's much more low-key. It's not boring because it does have a lot to do with mushing, dog mushing, and there's plenty of dogs in this book, but the romance was a little bit underwhelming compared to Calla and Jonah's romance. I wanted a little bit more from this hero. He just wasn't giving me what I wanted. Marie was fantastic though. I loved her character. I loved getting to know her character instead of just reading about her being Jonah's best friend and the girl that had a crush on him for the longest time. It was very nice though to be back in Alaska. I don't know how K.A. Tucker does it, but she almost makes me want to live in Alaska. Another prediction that I had was for Monroe by Kresley Cole. Kresley was another author who finally came back in 2022 after quite the hiatus. Monroe is the latest book in the Immortals After Dark series, which is one of my all-time favorite paranormal romance series. It's book 18, so it's a long series, and there was quite the gap in between book 17 and book 18. Being back in this world was fantastic, but I didn't love it quite as much as I thought I would. It was 4 stars though, so still a great read. I just didn't love it. It's definitely not, you know, a new favorite of the series for me. This is mostly due to the ending of the book where there was just too much going on and I wanted things to slow down a bit. But I was very happy to finally get Monroe's book because Monroe has been in the series for a very long time. Nalini Singh's new book, Storm Echo, was a 5-star prediction for me and I was right. I loved this book. It gave me Heart of Obsidian vibes, and anytime Nalini Singh writes a book that reminds me of Heart of Obsidian, I automatically love it. There's the whole amnesia thing, the hero went looking for her. It was great. I'm also a huge sucker for the Psy and Changeling pairings in this world. Like Psy and Psy is good, Psy and Human, fine. Changeling and Changeling, that's fine, but Psy and Changeling is where it's at. I also predicted that the new Kennedy Ryan would be a 5-star read. I had no idea about Before I Let Go when I made that video, so I only predicted The Close-Up would be a 5-star read. This one is the novella book 1.5 in the Hollywood Renaissance series. This is the novella that connects the Hollywood Renaissance world with the Hoops world, and I absolutely loved it. This was definitely a 5-star read for me. I love the way that Kennedy Ryan writes her novellas. They're never too short. They're just the right length, although of course I wouldn't mind them being, you know, a little bit longer. But this was the perfect length for Takira Naz. Theirs is a sort of a second chance romance, and I loved being able to feel so much of their connection even in such a short book. And it was also so nice to see all the Hoops characters cameos. So if you love the Hoop series, if you love any of the books in the Hoop series, you absolutely must read The Close-Up. Jessica Sutante's new release for Aunties in a Wedding was on my predictions list, and I was very right about it. I love this sequel. I loved it even more than the first book, Ballet for Aunties. It was hilarious. It had me laughing out loud again, like in book 1. But I think the reason why this one was even better for me was because I listened to the audiobook, and that really brought the story and the characters and all the aunties to life. All the accents and everything were fantastic. I loved it. It was so fun being back with these insane aunties. And then I thought I was gonna give The Wedding Crasher by Mia Sosa 5 stars because of how much I enjoyed The Worst Best Man, but sadly this was just okay for me. I gave it like 3.5 stars. I was very let down by Dean's book because he was great in The Worst Best Man, but then his own character felt a little bit flat here. I also surprisingly wasn't all that excited about the whole fake dating here. Usually I love this trope, but here it just wasn't doing much for me. And I remember the release date for The Wedding Crasher got pushed back like a year. It was supposed to release in 2021, but it got pushed back to 2022. And even after that wait, I still sadly didn't love it. So this one I was actually disappointed that I didn't give it 5 stars. And then the final 5-star prediction that I made was for The Company of Fiends by Catherine Moon. If you joined my book club's October live show where we talked about this book, you might already know how I feel about it, and that's basically that. I didn't love it. I am genuinely so shocked that I didn't, because A Lady of Brookskreek Manor was one of my favorites last year. I was so excited about a new monster reverse harem romance from Catherine Moon, and I was so let down by it. One, it was genuinely boring. Almost nothing happened here except for the heroine just sleeping with her monsters, which is fun at first, but after a while it got very tiring to read. And in a 500-page book, I wanted a little bit more action than just the bedroom action. There's a slight mystery, a slight suspenseful part to the story where these girls who work at the theater along with the heroine, they go missing or they get murdered, but that doesn't really go anywhere because the heroine doesn't do anything about it. So that part wasn't exciting to read either. I was just so disappointed by this one. I still can't believe I didn't love it. But those were all the 5-star predictions that I had for this year. They didn't all turn out to be 5 stars clearly, but at least a majority of them were good reads. Only 5 of them ended up being 5 stars, but that's still something. Anyway, I should have my 5-star predictions for 2023 up by now, so if you want to go check that out, please do. As always, links to all the books that I talked about will be down in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye!